It's all there.
I like it. It's got like the 80s, like
Why?
I can't. I printed it because I wasn't, but I didn't. I'm like, I printed mine, but she gave it to me.
I'll wait a second, just let me know when you're ready, and I will report.
Similar to what they.
So you guys just do.
What did they ask?
It's fine, and the resolution, it's the resolution amount, so even if you say it differently, like it's,
Yeah.
because I can just, because I need to, so I was like, no, so I returned it for it. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we're ready. We did one episode.
So it's recording. There's a way to go and everything. You're passing. Okay, all right.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our city council meeting for today. Hope you all are doing well after daylight savings and it being a Monday. So, looks like we have our entire council here.
Yeah.
So we can determine a quorum. Any visiting officials? See some new faces. All right, let's go ahead and go forward with public input. We call up Cassandra. I apologize, Cassandra.
It's okay, everybody calls me.
I know,
You're okay.
I did that last time as well.
It's okay.
Cassandra.
He'll get it.
He'll get it.
You're here.
It's all good. Will you use microphones?
And just a reminder, it's 3 minutes.
You're good. You're good. Okay, so my name is Cassandra Hodges. I'm here actually on behalf of the Kearns PTA Council here in Kearns. Got some news for you guys. Schools to Watch is a national program launched by the National Forum to identify high-performing middle school and junior high schools that are academically excellent, developmentally responsive, and socially equitable. These schools serve as models for implementing best practices, including rigorous curriculum, supportive learning environments, and collaborating leadership, all aimed at improving education for students in the middle grades. Selected schools must meet strict research-based criteria. They are evaluated on their ability to challenge students academically, respond to the unique development needs of early adolescents, and ensure that every student receives a fair and high-quality education. The process includes an extensive self-study and evaluation using a detailed rubric, often with state-level directors participating in the review. The ultimate purpose is to create a network of outstanding schools that can share successful practices and serve as examples for others across the nation. And with that, I am proud to announce that Kearns Junior High has been placed on Schools to Watch list. Today at Kearns Junior High, I had the privilege of being one of a few parents invited to meet with the Schools to Watch review team. It was truly an honor to speak with them about the incredible work happening at our school. From the dedication of our teachers and staff to the leadership of our administration, to the hard work of our students, it is clear that Kearns Junior High is a place where students are supported, challenged, and inspired every single day. As a parent and community member, I am incredibly proud of the recognition it reflects, the commitment of our entire school community to ensure that every student has the opportunity to succeed. Congratulations to Kearns Junior High as this well-deserved honor. This honor, bear with me, belongs to every teacher who goes the extra mile, every student who works hard to achieve their goals, every parent who supports their child's education, and every community member who believes in our schools. Being recognized by the Schools to Watch program shows that Kearns Junior High School is not only doing great things, it is setting the standard. I could not be more proud to be a part of this community.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's wonderful to know. All right, next, Vida Sanchez.
Hi, everybody. My name is Vida Sanchez. For those of you who don't know me, my mother is Danielle Sanchez. A lot of you might know her. So I'm here with Braxton Deeb, and we're both captains of the Kearns High debate team. And we're here to let you guys know that, at least announce that for the first time in almost 30 years, our debate team has gotten first in regions, and we've taken our sweepstakes. So I wanted to announce and let you guys know that. And to update you guys on what we're doing this week, Friday and Saturday, not only is it my birthday on Friday, but Friday, Saturday, we will be having our state tournament all the way down at Brighton High School. And we are really proud to represent Kearns. And just want to let you guys know that. Do you want to talk about?
So states is a really big deal, especially since we did so amazing at regions. We really have a chance. And every single kid on our team is amazing. We don't have any dead weight. Every single person has done amazing. Almost every single person has gotten first place before. Like, we have an amazing team, and it's really appreciative to have such an amazing community. And all we really ask is just more so help and support. We're not going to come here and beg for money, because I know that's annoying. But we just want some form of support. If you have someone you know who's going to Kearns, please tell them they got this, especially in their debate team. Make sure you're there to support them. And if they don't go to Kearns, talk bad about them, hurt their feelings, anything like that. at the end of the day, our current side debate team just wants to know that we have people supporting us because we've always been what we like to call a box, where we've never had anyone with us. We've been kind of by ourselves. So it means everything to us to just know even one person is there to support us.
And along with that, you guys, I think know, but we've had 2 people qualify for nationals, and it's a pretty big deal. If we get far enough in finals, the final round is filmed in front of hundreds of people, every single person who has competed that day. So if any of you want to support, you can share the link to our donation page. This is me begging, sadly, but if you'd like to donate, please feel free to. And if you don't have the means to, share the link or just talk about debate, get kids to join, come judge. If you guys really want to spectate, you guys can come to our tournaments and watch it. We are really open to having people spectate and see how debate works, because I promise you it's a lot more different of an atmosphere. A lot of kids look like they wouldn't debate, but when they get into that classroom and they have their suits on and ties and they go up there representing their team, they are genius. A lot of people are so smart and they use a lot of terms that I promise a lot of adults don't know. I've had judges really confused on what I'm debating about. But if any of you want to judge or spectate or see anything about debate, please come check it out. So that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have the link by chance, the URL? Or
I have it.
do you guys want to say it aloud?
Pull it up and say it. So
It's on 300.
Okay, I thought maybe if it was a smaller one, then we could just blurt it out really fast. Okay. No worries. All right. Well, thank you so much. It's great to see, our youth coming up, youth leadership coming up and really doing big things. So we appreciate that. All right, next would be Chelsea. Where are you? Okay, this is American Legion?
Yes.
Okay. Well, she's walking in, or, yeah. Okay, we'll revisit that. Let's go back, or let's go forward to the acknowledgement of the monthly financial report. You guys seen this and can approve?
I didn't have any problems with it.
I didn't see anything.
Okay. Go forward to acknowledge and approve.
We just need a motion to basically acknowledge that you guys have seen.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're still waiting on one citizen input.
You do have the option, if she comes a little bit later, you can always motion to go back
Yeah,
to
we can
public
always go
comment,
back, so.
and then we can bring it back later.
Okay,
Just motion to go into it again.
all right.
That's an option.
So we'll further go back to that. Let's go into the workshop. Yeah. We have MSD management and support of city laptop environment, Mark Schneider, IT director.
I think that'll blind you if you're ready. Do you need to show anything up there?
No,
Okay.
Thank you. I'm Mark Schneider, the MSD IT Director, and I thank you for the privilege of speaking to you all today. Several of our member cities and communities have asked that MSD take over support of your laptops and everything, and I want to give you a little bit of update of where you're at and how that would happen. So today you have the cheapest Google option to give you your .gov emails. That option really does not meet state criteria for you to share files. It's missing auditing, logging, and a few other things I won't get into, but it is not a good mechanism for that. You do have a choice. You could go to Google for government. And just for a reference, that's about $54 a month plus your Microsoft tools. What Mayor Valdez has asked is if we were to bring all of you onto the MSD systems with a Microsoft suite. And to do that, we would migrate the .gov over to Microsoft. We would migrate all your emails to Microsoft. You shouldn't see any difference on your laptops. We would make sure the city provides each person a Windows laptop. We are unable to support iPads or Macs in this environment. And then what that would also do we would create you a SharePoint portal where you could share files that meet state requirements. And then we work with the Utah Cybersecurity Department, DHS CISA for security. So we would also then add additional security onto your laptops to protect them from hacking, phishing, and other invasive malware. What we would have to do is I would come to one of these meetings, I would collect your devices, we would take them back probably 3 days to do the conversion. The conversion is actually 15 pages of work, of steps. We would invite you in either to the MSD or we could come and meet you. We would give you a half hour to 45-minute walk through, make sure everything works, make sure you don't lose anything. That would be important to us. And then you would be set, and then you would be able to call. We would set up a number for you to call, and you would be able to use our help desk as well for questions or anything that came up. I will continue to work with Mayor Valdez to set the timing. With the current schedule, it would probably be the 1st of May before we could entertain doing this. There's a possibility of April still, but I do have some vacations I would have to work around. Mayor, is there any questions or anything? Or
Can you explain the importance of going this direction in the sense of not only future-proofing for the city's sake? I know we have the Olympics coming, which is a ways away, but you mentioned, we're using personal Google workspace right now, which right now it is cheap and we are saving doing so, but come one threat, those savings could all disappear.
Yes, we invited the DHS CISA, their cybersecurity arm, to come in and do an audit of the MSD. And that audit was an 8-hour audit, about 300 questions. We have a few things to improve, but we have a very good security posture. And they have a large concern, a very high concern for you all, especially because you are a host city for Olympic events. You will be prime for people trying to break into your systems. Yeah. You currently have no security of the level that we would call the minimum level. You're below the minimum. You're not unique. All of our member cities are in the same boat, except for one. And they have the next level up, but they don't have the Google for Government. And they are also looking to do this move as well. So I'll be speaking to them in the near future to bring them on as well. So this would give you tools that come from DHS. It would give you tools that come from the Utah Cybersecurity Center, such as Sentinel-1, Action-1. The downside is now those tools are going to prohibit you from maybe doing some things that you've done. You will have policies and procedures that you'll have to follow. That's good, but sometimes it's a little bit extra work, like multi-factor authentication, like when you have to sign in with your phone to get to your computer. That can be a hassle, but it is very protective.
And just so the public is aware, MSD is the city of Kearns' staff. And to me, my personal preference is that it makes sense to streamline that. Would this also provide, for instance, Microsoft 365 to our?
Yes.
To our
and to be clear, what's your use of Google just for your emails is fine. It's once you start needing to share files where you go into that bad territory. So you're not doing anything wrong at this point. This just takes you to the next step and allows you to be able to share files amongst yourselves. And it'll allow the recorder functions to use some tools that we've put in place as well, more seamless in the future.
Council members, do you have any questions?
I'm on board.
Okay.
You know, I would like to add, when we were on our tour to the water plant, they had mentioned to us that people have been attempting to break in to that. So that's hitting home. I mean, our water, and they're saying that people are trying to hack in. So if they're hacking in our water, you can guarantee that they're going to come after our city.
Yes, there's been 2 cities in this area, plus the airport, who have had and succumbed to ransomware attacks within the last year.
Any other questions?
No, I'm on board with it.
Yeah,
Agreed.
So
I think we all are.
All
I
right,
guess we just want to, do we need a motion to go forward with this?
I don't,
Was this
It's discussion only.
discussion only?
It's
Okay.
discussion only,
What you
no,
could do
no.
is you could direct staff to work with Mark to develop a policy for you to adopt in late date.
So my only suggestion that I would add to this is to bring on a consultant on the city side to work alongside with MSD. That would really be my only suggestion.
I would
I
be
think that's
fine
something
doing
we
that.
could do at a later date.
Right,
once we
I'm
get-
just bringing it up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I hear
yeah,
what you're
that would be my only other thing that I would add to it.
yeah, I can
Maybe I
come
didn't
back
mention
anytime
prior.
as well, so
Yeah.
it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Great,
Well, I would be willing to do that if that's what you're wanting.
okay,
Yeah, not a problem.
all righty. Well, thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Okay, let's go backwards a little bit, go back to public input. Chelsea, where are you?
Worrying like a rock spring.
Cool. Would you mind just going up to the podium and this would be for 3 minutes. Thanks for coming.
A little short. Okay, my name is Chelsea Corey, and I am with the American Legion. Our American Legion family is here tonight. We have our commander, our second vice, and also our Sons of American Legion representative and the auxiliary. Our purpose with our post here in Kearns is to be a little bit more present in the community with events. So we had a couple questions. We wanted to know how we get involved with some of those, maybe who we talk to partner with some events, maybe some ideas for donations, and then also how can we get to reserve this building? Who would we talk to about that? For our district meetings that we hold every 3rd Sunday of the month. So all of our American Legion posts through the Salt Lake Valley meet together.
Could you tell me how long American Legion, this post, it's Kearns specific, correct? How long has this post been around?
Doug?
Over 75 years.
Okay.
Oh. And
A very long time.
where are you guys at right now? Where
So
do you guys hold posted?
we are currently in the Valley Bowling Lanes building. They allow us to do all of our stuff with their building there. And that's on 5400 South. Sorry, I forgot that address. 3951 West, 5400 South.
And previously you were in Kearns? Or
Yes,
in
our
your-
home in the old, what's the building? There we go. Thank you. I need some hand holding.
Well, we're always looking for members that are willing to help in the community. So
And we'd like to be a part of those too, so we just want to know who's the contact to kind of coordinate with some of those things.
okay.
Because I'd like to join forces.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We'll coordinate that with you and I'll come back with some information. Anything else from the council before we move out of public comment? Anybody wanted to address with the other the 3 public comments that we had? Okay. All right. So we'll move out of that and go back to our workshop. Okay. All right, so we're looking to authorize and put together a job description for a city administrator and to review the procurement process for an independently contracted content creator, digital content creator, creative content creator. Nathan?
Thank you, Mayor. So for the rest of the council, this is a follow-up on our discussion we had at our retreat last week. And during that discussion, it appeared to the mayor and myself that the council seems to be in general agreement about the need to hire a city administrator. And so there are 2 positions I want to talk about. Let's take them in turn. The city administrator, I think, as we discussed it, as the mayor and I understood it, would be a Kearns employee rather than, say, a contract entity. They would be an employee that you would hire under your personnel policy, which we adopted a couple weeks ago. And so what the mayor and I were wondering is if we could get some direction from the council to put together a job description to bring back to the council at your meeting in April for you to approve. And I think what the mayor and I were hoping to give, and he spent a lot of time on it, is just some direction on what you'd like, just some basic parameters, and we can send out a draft for you to look at in advance of the meeting, just so that you're prepared to discuss it and act on it in April. And then we would go through the hiring process that's laid out in your policy, namely that we would have to advertise it at a minimum on the state's Department of Workforce Services website, which is pretty standard. We could also advertise it on your website and Indeed and other places. But I think what the mayor and I were trying to get a little bit more detail on is what you'd like us to put in that policy. As we discussed at the last meeting, a city administrator really for any of the MSD entities is going to function a lot like a city administrator in most other cities, in the sense that they're going to be essentially the transmission between the council and the mayor, which are the driver of the car, and then the MSD, which is the engine, and essentially the other districts that are providing you services to translate your goals into action. But what is a key difference between your city administrator and a city administrator in other towns is they're not going to have the HR management responsibilities that you otherwise would, because all of your services are going to come from mainly the MSD, but also other special districts. So it is a little bit unique in that sense, and you're not going to have the same management responsibilities that you would if all of these things were, say, a Kearns department.
Yeah.
So I think, Mayor, we were just trying to get a little bit of feedback from the council on some key items, because the mayor and I could just work together on a proposal and send one out. You guys could look at it. We could be prepared to act on it. But we were hoping today just to get a little bit of feedback on what you guys want. Like, do you want it to be a full-time or a part-time position? When we did the budget process last year, we set a ceiling about what the total compensation package could be. It doesn't have to go that high. My suggestion is you typically put a range in those job descriptions that's depending on qualification and experience to give you guys the ability and the wiggle room to negotiate something. You typically don't select the highest, most expensive person unless you get a real rock star that comes in, but you have some wiggle room. So we're just trying to get a little bit of direction on, one, is are you on board with us putting together something for you to consider, recognizing that you'd have to approve it, no requirement that you do so, and 2, what sort of ingredients do you want us to include? Did I miss anything, Mayor?
No, I think you hit it pretty on the nail. So, and in the packet from the retreat, I kind of provided some options as well. With what Nathan's saying, because we use MSD and they're our staff, I don't necessarily think we need to go, and I kind of define the difference between city manager and a city administrator. This person wouldn't be taking a role of a traditional city manager where they have the authority of hiring and firing and dealing with HR. And so we're in a unique, I think every city's unique, but we're in a unique situation where we can find somebody, but they will also be working very closely with MSD. There were other options. I proposed what I find more valuable. But there's options, we could go part-time, we could go traditional city manager route if we find that. Or we do the city administrator. But what I would like you guys to keep in mind too is, again, we're just gonna go back with the Olympics. So we don't necessarily want to go with the cheapest option nor the most expensive, but I think we could find in the middle. And I think that would be somebody that has the experience more so on the Olympic level, hopefully. So, any questions?
So, I can talk loud enough. Nathan, I think that we should at least have an option in there for a part-time assistant administrator.
So you want two positions?
Well, just so we have the option.
Okay,
You know
well,
what
that
I
would
mean?
be two separate job descriptions.
That's my only thing that I would want in there.
Well, let me ask a related question to that, and that's a good question. Is one question that I have is, since Kearns doesn't have an official city hall, we have some space that you guys are using, and that's something we're working on to kind of have a more defined space where you can meet with the public. One of the challenges, do you want this, because in my opinion, your city manager or city administrator is someone that you want to have relatively free to go meet with these various districts that provide services, and particularly as we get more involved with the Olympics and redevelopment, to just go and meet with people. So I don't think you want to have the city administrator tied to a desk at a specific place to meet with the public. That's where an assistant would come in. And so I think that's something we'd like to know. And relatedly, since you don't necessarily have key office space now, would you be open to having a city administrator who could work virtually? You might be able to get more people that way.
I just want a part-time option is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, would that be an assistant to the city manager or an assistant city manager? Not to sound like The Office with Dwight Schrute, but are we asked, because that's going to determine like the pay scale, because an assistant city manager is different than just say an admin assistant.
Yeah. I really didn't think about that one.
Because if you just want somebody to be in a meeting place and answer phones and schedule meetings, you probably don't need a quote unquote assistant city manager.
And I know we don't really want to do a full-fledged city manager, but an administrator, can an administrator be part-time?
It could be. No, that's the thing.
That's what I'm trying to allude to. So.
Every city can come up with its own requirements. The code just says that you can hire a city, well, it uses the term city manager, but a lot of cities use the term city administrator, whichever you want to use. Essentially, it means the same thing.
Yeah, and in that packet, it's also mentioned, because I just like to lay out all the options for us, not necessarily, there's only one. And one way we could go too is we could find somebody that is well seasoned and has been through the rounds already, that is part-time. Now, the drawback, and I know we're still a ways away, is talking Olympics, that may not be the proper avenue.
Well, we can, and we've got 2 or 3 years to finally refine that though too, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As we got, I've got people yelling at me already about city manager, what?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to, if we're going to do it, I want to do it right. And I don't want the residents of Kearns up in arms about it, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah.
we've already went coming up with a price range, you know what I mean? Of what we got dragged through. So I want to make sure we do it right. So
That makes sense.
When we
I
did
understand.
our ordinances, did we put a 4-year term with the option of renewal? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's actually a 5-year term, typically, the way that it would work. And obviously, a city manager serves at the pleasure of the council. And they would be an at-will employee. We'd have an employment contract, and you could typically terminate them at will. Maybe one suggestion I would have is that to cast a broad net, we make it full-time or part-time depending on the right candidate. So for instance, if you have somebody that's really super experienced, and I'll be honest, I think it's gonna be very hard for you to find someone with Olympic experience who's familiar with Utah, right?
yeah,
If you get somebody like that, then maybe it's worth it to have them be part-time because they've got the right skill set. But I think we can put together maybe 1 or 2 proposals that says we're willing to consider a part-time employee depending on the right candidate. Because I know of some now to be honest, I know of some cities that are much smaller than you that have part-time city administrators. They're not as large as you, but they also don't have the contracting situation that you do either. So it might work. Anyway, that's what we're just trying to, the mayor and I are trying to get direction on what to make this look like. So we want to bring something back that we can act on and we don't have to revise over multiple meetings.
I agree. Even somebody that has experience with with large scale events, not necessarily Olympic experience.
Yeah, well, I think you probably want somebody with redevelopment experience, which is a big need of yours.
Yeah.
So it sounds like to summarize the discussion, we can put together a proposed assistant position along with the city administrator position that could be, I think the job description could be full-time or part-time depending on the candidate and their qualifications.
I'm
That
good
way you
with that.
guys can choose depending
good
on your
with that.
candidate.
And I would just like to refresh to another option, and obviously this would have to go through a board, but there is an option to see if MSD would be willing, if their board was willing to provide a position such as an executive liaison. That would probably be our best value, but again, that's not fully dedicated to Kearns. And again, I can't speak for that board or anything. I can't say that would even be a possibility,
That'd be an option.
but it's an
too.
option that we could
It would be an
look
option.
into. And so that's, like I said, I just like to lay it all out on the table. That way, even if I had my mind made up on something, that we see those options. So that's another one too.
So again, just to remind you of the law says it's the mayor that exercises the admin functions, the city administrator, or you delegate it to council members. So I think the idea there is you would hire a city administrator, but for instance, like Dan Torres is your economic development director, but he's the economic development director for everyone. And so that would be an MSD call. The pro of that is it might be cheaper. The con of that is that they wouldn't be dedicated solely to you. They'd be a city administrator potentially for the other cities in the MSD that don't have one.
Somebody dedicated to Kearns. I know that much. Oh, sorry, I don't get nothing in this.
Oh, that's for the online people.
Well, they got it.
Anyways, those are just all the options I wanted to lay out so you guys can see it. We can review that packet too together. So just so we're confident in that direction forward. So.
Okay, so just to summarize, I'll work with the mayor and the MSD staff and we'll put together a job description for an assistant, or I'm sorry, for a city administrator that would just be dedicated to Kearns as a Kearns employee.
Yes.
Don't have to go that way, but it gives you something to look at.
Yeah.
Ideally, we'll get a draft out to you via email that you can review and be prepared to discuss at the April meeting. We could also prepare an assistant position as well for you to review. And then we can go from there. But to summarize, I think we're open to allowing it to be virtual, subject to change, of course. If you guys do end up getting a city hall, or probably want to have some office hours there, but we don't have one right now. And then relatedly, open to full-time and part-time, depending on the applicant and their qualifications. And we want someone with redevelopment and events, hopefully sporting events or Olympic experience. Is that a good summation of the discussion?
That is brilliant,
Yes.
Nathan.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, then moving on, the second one would be a slightly different thing. And this would be hiring a contractor, an independent contractor to help create content for the city. One of the things we discussed at the last strategy meeting and elsewhere is helping Kearns, help everyone know that it's got its act together and it's a full-fledged city. And part of that is improving its digital image and having a footprint digitally with the community and the surrounding area. So the mayor has talked to me about hiring a content creator, and he asked me to go over what that procurement policy would look like, or how the procurement process would work, and then the mayor can talk a little bit more about what he has in mind, because we need to so this would not be an employee. They'd be an independent contractor like me, and we would go through Kearns' procurement policy. As I understand it, this would likely qualify as a small purchase, so it's something that the mayor, as your purchasing agent, could do without council approval, but he's trying to coordinate with you and get your thoughts on what that would look like. So I think basically the way that a small purchase would work in this instance, because we're not anticipating that this would be much, is it would be something that the mayor could go out and find. He probably, could reach out to people directly. We wouldn't need to do any sealed bids or anything like that, but he could go out, get some verbal quotes from people, get their qualifications, and then most likely, I think what's historically been Kearns' practice, the mayor would then circulate who they're thinking of hiring to the rest of the council, and then you guys can chime in. So that's essentially the process, and I'll let the mayor describe what he's thinking for this potential contractor.
Yeah, so basically this would be freelance. So the money we had set aside for like the website management, we, again, since we have MSD, we use that money and now we're saving. Mary Dean, she's part of communications, she's been a great help. And so now we have that in a sense where we can now use it for digital content creating. This person would solely freelance in the sense of using their own equipment and software, packaging something together, and then they wouldn't be in charge of posting it, would still go through our communications team or Mary Dean. And so basically it's super important that we continue to brand Kearns and we show, I keep saying that control the narrative of who we are. And so I think that's a really good way of doing it. I'm pretty certain that we could basically make it 6 as a top of what we were paying in the past. But yes, we wouldn't require equipment or anything like that. It would be a freelance type contract. And so, any questions about that?
Oh, I think you answered most of them.
All right, and then, yeah. Anything else, Nathan?
Well, while I'm up here, do you want me to do the code restatement?
Yes.
It's a little bit out of order, but.
That's fine.
And real quick, just to go back to the city administrator, Nathan brought up a good point about, potentially this person may or may not need an office. We're still trying to figure that out. But again, since we have an MSD, this person would be actively working alongside other staff. They, a traditional city manager might have an office where, they have an overview of an entire staff, right? And they're kind of locked into an office. This person would not be locked in. So I just wanted to, I know you mentioned that, I just wanted to go back in and thank you for mentioning that.
And I think that with that, I think you probably want them to have some place where they could meet. For instance, we have that room over there, which is a nice room. Because if someone's coming in to do development in Kearns, you want to look like, having a city manager doesn't have like a place to meet isn't necessarily a good look. But at the same time, paying to have an office and spending all of that money when all your staff are located in the MSD office also may not make financial sense either. So the mayor has some space over at the UPD precinct building, which is a secure site. We have some space here. So you probably do want to have a place where the city manager can come and meet with people and hold meetings. But I think typically speaking, since you don't have a place right now, you might just want to have them piggyback on the spaces that you already have available rather than incur an extra cost. But sooner or later, ideally, if our development works the way it will, we'll have something of a city hall and the city manager would likely have a space there. And if you're going to have a space at that point in time, you probably need to have some presence because the public's going to be like, wait, I'm paying for this building and it's empty all the time. And that's where, Patrick, to your point, an assistant could be helpful.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet right now.
We're far from there.
Yeah. So if you want, I can just go right into the restatement items.
Yes, we can do that.
So when we talked at the strategy meeting or the retreat, I kind of gave you, Crystal and Patrick have seen these before, and the direction that they gave in the past was to take some of our policies, like your purchasing policy and now your personnel policy, and just put those into the code rather than having those be separate policies so they're easier to find. The way that this code is drafted, when we started working on it last year, we didn't know exactly what this new council was wanting to do with the city administrator manager position. So the way it's drafted now is that the mayor will perform the city's administrative functions unless there's a city administrator appointed, in which case then the city administrator would do it. I think we use the term city manager, so we can go back in and change that to city administrator. But what I'd like to do is have a standing item on each agenda from here on out until we've had a chance to, until we have a whole new code that's bespoke to Kearns and isn't some cobbled together thing that we inherited from the county. And some of the issues with the county are, one, the county code is a county code. You're not a county, you're a municipality. And so there's some provisions in there. There's a whole section on, for instance, the County Department of Health, which you have no control over, but it's in your code because we inherited it, right? Those things need to come out. We have some old references in the sections we have created to Metro Township. And so again, ideally, what you'll see in Title I is a uniform section of definitions that apply to your code, rules of construction, and an appeal procedure that will apply unless there's a specific appeal procedure, say for instance in your land use code. What I'd like to do is, I know you probably haven't had a chance to read through the hundreds of pages we sent you, but if you have questions on this, let me know, because what I'd like to do at the next meeting is bring back the other Title V over business licensing and some of the other things that we need. So take your time and look at this. My hope is in a couple months, hopefully by May or June, we can have this whole thing updated. Patrick.
I got one question. When I was going through some of it today, you'd put one comment that's saying these are completely new and different in Salt Lake County code, and will require review from the MSD. Now, if it's going to be our code, the MSD's got to sign off on it?
On certain provisions.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, so for Titles 1 and 2, that's you. But for instance, for your business licensing, since they do business licensing, that's going to be Title 5. What I'd like to do is, we've already updated a big chunk of that.
This is for the traffic side.
Yeah, and that's for Title 14. Now, Title 14, the MSD has already reviewed and provided comments on. And so there are some provisions where the MSD is performing that work. So Title 14 is kind of public works. Title 12, Patrick, is code enforcement. We've already updated that, but we'll update that. Title 11 is traffic. Now that's the one where you have some concerns about parking. We can make some changes there.
And I gave that paper.
Yeah, and you have that.
And Lisa's already
Yeah,
made
so
the changes in here, so I
yeah.
just have one other thing I need to get changed, but we can do that later date.
Yeah, so for the most part, again, as a reminder, when you guys incorporated this first as a Metro Township, state law required us to use the county code in effect in 2017 until such time as you adopted a new code. We've already gone through and largely updated the provisions you use on a regular basis, except for some of these remaining sections that we just don't use that much. So I would say, Title 5 regarding business license is something where we want the MSD's input because they're going to be the one doing it on your behalf. Title 11 regarding parking is something we want their input. Title 12 with code enforcement, which we've already updated multiple times, and Clayton with my office is here. He does your code enforcement. He's been big there. So that's mainly just changing whatever references to Metro Township to city. So that one's mostly done. And then Title 14, which they've already looked at. The rest of the provisions really are use specific and don't really have anything to do with the MSD. So for instance, Title 1 is rules of construction, and Title 2 is the type of council you are, which is a 5-member form of government, how your elections work. The MSD didn't really have a whole lot to do with that, but we still ran it by them anyway and incorporated Diana's comments and Nicole's comments, who was your former clerk at the time. Because they're the staff that are going to be implementing it, and I do appreciate their concerns. But typically what I try to do is get on your page first, then get the MSD's input. But going forward, in the interest of time, what I'd like to do at the next meeting, these are the big ones. These are the big ones that we hadn't updated. The next batch will be things that we've already updated. We're just changing the name from Metro Township to city for the most part, and streamlining them and making some edits that you may have. So if you have any suggestions on business licensing or parking or code enforcement, let me know, because that's the next batch I'd like to bring back next month. Does that work?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, next we will have Mary Dean with MSD talking about our website and the form of two-way communication.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I just wanted to tell you, thank you so much for inviting me to come tonight to talk about two of my favorite topics, okay? One is websites. I love websites. I know a lot about them, and I love them. The other is communicating with your residents. So when we talk about text.my.gov, I'll go into that. So thank you for that. So we'll just start here. I'm going to go through the slideshow, but there's also, at the end of this, I'm going to flip over to, I want to just show you some, the back end of like text.my.gov, and I want to show you a couple of websites that Civic Plus did, just so you know. So I'll kind of watch my time too. So this is your current website. It doesn't scroll. It doesn't do a lot of things. And you've had it for 7 years. And it's time, okay? It's time to put that baby to sleep, and we gotta, bring the new baby out, okay?
We added a new
So-
part at the end, though. That's new.
Oh, yes, the constituent, well, I haven't linked to the newest one though, the newest version, but yeah, that is new. And we are getting a graphic for that too. So anyway, so it doesn't scroll. That scrolling's a thing. It's been a thing for like 5 or 6 years now. So, okay, I'll move on. So what makes a great city website? These are all things that I think are super important. I really think it needs to be centered around your citizens. I think citizens go into websites and they don't know where to go to find information. They don't know what your departments look like. They don't really know what the MSD departments look like. They don't know who does what, right? So you really focus on that. So a person would go to a website and say, I need to apply for a permit. I need to report a problem. I want to view an agenda. I want to find out events. So that's how you look at it when you're designing your websites. And they do like to read news and announcements. That's important, and to keep those updated all the time. A new website should have something on it where you can engage with your citizens. They can sign up to engage with their city. It needs to be mobile friendly, so it needs to look good on a phone. It needs to look good on a tablet. Both of those has to be accessible with ADA. Civic Plus does do this, and there's this new one. It's called WCAG. I got the pronunciation just so you know. WCAG, WCAG. That's what they call it. 2.1, which is the federal government put all these restrictions in about what you have to have on your website. You have to have all your PDF documents readable by people that have accessibility issues. So it's something we'll also be working on. You'll hear more about that throughout the year as the year goes, because we have to have it done next year. So anyway, clear communication. Your website needs to be transparent because it's government. Simple navigation for people to jump around and find what they need. It needs to be available in all languages. And I'm going to show you that because that's what the Civic Plus product offers. Yeah. And I've already said scrolling websites and easy for staff to update. But yeah. Anyway, so I already said why you need a new website. But the most important thing of all is you're currently a Immunodoc website. Well, Civic Plus bought Immunodoc. They're phasing that product out in a couple of months. So you have to get a new website, like you're forced, okay? They also stopped selling this product October 2024. And let's see, just like the current organization's difficult, I can't line a photo up with text. It's the worst one to work with. It's just so hard. So anyway,
Agreed.
So anyway, and also it doesn't have server control, open source networks. So there's some security risks, some lack of standardization and performance bottlenecks. Okay, so Civic Plus, the reason I'm talking to you about them today, MSD has this, they use that Civic Plus. We moved Magna to it about a little over a year ago. Brighton just signed a contract for it. White City bought Streamline, and Civic Plus just bought Streamline, so that's how it's all going on there. So for us, and Mark can attest this, we would like everybody to kind of be on the same platform. It really helps out, on our end, because it's hard for us to keep going into these different back ends of websites and that. So really easy to use. They have a great help center, all of that. I'm not going to read all this because you've got a copy. So they have 2 products that they're offering to get these Immunicode people moved into the Civic Plus platform. The first one it's called the Starter Standard. And what that means is you would purchase like a template website. And we did that at the MSD. We still have a template website. I think they're fine, and you can kind of see some pictures here. And I'm going to encourage you, if you go in at the bottom, it says standard website examples. You can go in and look at the examples of those. So anyway, so you have a template design. So it just looks this way, and all the buttons are in the same place, all of that, okay? Looks the same. So that is $5,000 a year. And that's around what you're paying currently for your other website. So and it's a steal of a deal, okay? It's still a deal. It really is. Because we paid $8,000 for Magnus last year. So there you go. Don't tell anyone. Okay, I'm going to move to the Starter Premium. This is the one that I think you should do because they will customize the design for your website, okay? And it's also $5,000 a year, but they do charge a $5,000 one-time fee to design your website. And I think it's important. You want it to look like Kearns. You need this website to look great because you're getting the Olympics again, all kinds of things. It's your opportunity to really have this really great designed website. So that's the price difference. So it's $10,000 for the first year. So I divided that out by how many homes you have. So it's basically 87 cents per home. If you divide it out by like persons, it's like 27 cents. So it's really, I mean, when you think about it that way, it's really important to have a good website. It's super important. Okay, so, and again, on this one, there's some sample designs here. So these are just some of the modules that you'll get. These are things you currently, like you don't have Notify Me, which is where your residents can sign up. These are just some new things that you don't currently have on your current website. Okay, that's it. But I'm going to show you some things. Now I'm going to switch my hat over to Text My Gov. Another cool product that I really like. Now you guys had Code Red. Code Red got hacked. They got hacked bad. Is that proper English? I don't care, but they did. They didn't notify us. They didn't put it on their website. They weren't for a long time answering phone calls. And Mark knows this. So, and you can, if you pull them up, you can read all about it, but they got hacked really bad. So this new company bought it, price is $21. But in the meantime, I have another one of our communities that uses Text My Gov, and I really like this product. So, so it's on the phone. You can send alerts out to all your residents. You can answer their questions. It's not just for one way, it's two-way communication. So Code Red was one way. This is two-way. You can, if they put in a certain word, like say you put in a word agenda, it will tell them where to go, or business license. It gives them the link. They can go right in and find out about it. It's really cool that way. And I'm going to show you the back end of that. We can conduct surveys on this. We can send that out to all the people that are on this. So, okay, so that's the good news. Now, the other really, really cool stuff is with this company, and this is the only company that does this, they are able to go in and get phone numbers from all you lovely people because you've signed up for other things. Anyway, so they went in to see how many they could get, and they call it a pre-scrub, and they had 9,480 already phone numbers. Now, that doesn't mean every one of those people have to sign up for it. They would get a friendly, hey, we've got this new Text My Gov, it's for Kearns, you're going to get information on this, this, and this. Do you want to sign up? So they have that. And they also, if they sign up and they don't want it anymore, they can unsubscribe. So it's great for everybody. The other thing about this is they do work with IPAWS and the National Weather Service. So any emergency messages, they're scripted to be a certain length. You can script them right on this to send out. It's fantastic. I tried it the other day. It's really cool. Okay, so two-way texting, it reduces call volume. People like to be on their phones. Maybe they don't want to go to your website. And another way to get people informed. Okay, so I'm going to skip that one. So your residents don't have to download like an app. Okay, it's a subscription. It's not an app, which I think is cool. Also, I've already gone through the training. Copperton has this, and the training was fantastic, and I'll show you why. But okay, and then also, I think this is great. I like to spend Utah money in Utah. I do that all the time when I have vendors. I try to use someone in Utah. Well, this company's in Utah. They're in Logan, Utah. And I think that's great because we're using Utah tax dollars. So I really like that about it. Okay, so that's, let me go into the pricing. So you were currently paying around $10,000 for Code Red. And you had like a contract with them, which the attorney Nathan's working on that to get out to cancel that contract. But so they started out at $12,500, and between Mayor Valdez and myself, we got them down another $2,500. So yay! Anyway, so it would be $10,000 for this. So it's the same money that's already in your budget. Okay, so you don't have to rebudget for that. So that's really good too. Okay, so I just want to show you. Oh, it's not picking up the website. Should I unplug her? Maybe because it's just like, okay. I don't think you did. It's still on, so it might just be over here. It removed itself.
And the difference too with Code Red and Text My Gov is Code Red was just for emergency alerts. This is for emergency alerts and everything else.
Everything
we want to
else.
add to it, and we can add multiple categories if we would like.
Yes, and I was going to show you about that. You can do if there's a road closure, if there's a water issue, you can do all kinds of things on this, which is really nice. The Code Red was really just, you kind of do it when there's a really bad emergency. So it sits all year where you can be using this all the time. And then you can build groups within it too. So you can have a group just for your council. You could have a group with your planning commission. You could have a community group on there where they can pass things to each other. And then you have your resident group. So that's really good too. This is? Okay. While we're doing that, do you have any questions on what I presented?
I was so excited to see your demonstration.
Yeah.
The back end, right?
Yes.
It shows the back end.
I'm going to show you the back end of the Copperton one that takes my gov, and then I'm going to show you a couple of the Civic Plus website. I'm going to show you Magna first, just so you know, almost every city in the valley is on Civic Plus, and I just pulled some of those up just so you can see, because that way you can kind of go look at some of the websites and see how they look. Because I think that's a really good way to do it too. And then I thought after the meeting too, I will just send you all a link to the websites that I've got here. So if you want to go in and take a peek at those, you can do that.
Perfect.
And then it takes a couple of months to get into their system to start this process. I was talking earlier with Lauren, and there is a committee that we would need to put together, maybe like 6 members or so, maybe 6 or 7 members. And so you can kind of decide among yourselves, but it's a really fun process. Everything, they give us all these dates, but there's a design phase where you go in and they kind of show you different things, and your group as a whole kind of says what they. So it's very interactive. It's not like they just, and then it's fully designed, and they do a really good job. What they do, so. Should I unplug it again?
Everybody shut off, and it's not.
You want me to unplug it again?
Do I have to plug it? Blow on it?
Oh, the light
Yeah.
turner.
Plug it back in.
Yeah, they take forever to
Does it take forever?
go. Yeah, projectors.
I think it might have, because it said it was cooling off, so I don't know if it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to?
It got too hot.
Do you want to move on, and then if I can come back, I'll show them?
I'll keep moving. I'll keep messing with it.
Okay. Do you want to have?
Do you have
move on with the
something, Lauren?
meeting, and then I'll.
Lauren might have something.
Well, I personally am eager to work with you. I have been jumping at this website opportunity since I was running. That was one of the things I ran on was, our website's horrible. We need to fix it, because I know we can.
Yeah.
And we're similar minds here with what you're showing us. I can really relate to what you're saying, and you showed me a few things that I didn't fully understand. So it's nice to actually see this for a change and not just hear somebody talking about it. This is our alley as far as getting so being able to have these opportunities and these things regarding the website. And I believe even Jesse has made a comment about getting an app, a phone app, to where people can interact also with their cell phones.
It's using HDMI. It said HDMI from the corner, so.
Oh. There we go. Give it a sec.
I'm like, that doesn't look like it's here.
Because it says it's using the HDMI, but I don't know if it's not showing up on there.
Do we do like the Ren and Stimpy? There's technical difficulty. Interesting.
You can also maybe plug and unplug.
I did it like
Oh,
a
you
bunch
did.
of times, yeah.
Maybe we're just sold on it.
I was trying to see if it
No
was
more
maybe
needed.
a different HDMI one.
It's weird that it went off just right when I was transitioning.
It kind of seems like a
Sliding.
no-brainer to me. What do you think? Yeah?
Oh, not that one, actually.
It was just
It's
nice
like
because
it.
it was working before.
Was that a pasta
It doesn't seem when I change the source.
It's all delicious from here.
Have you put on the
I could always
Come
So
to
you
your
had
next
time
meeting or?
for dinner? Hold on, let's try this one second. Turn it on the great mic on.
Is there any other presenters that need the projector?
I don't know if there's anyone else after running things off. We'll give it one more try. Let me turn it back on with this and see. Because it shut off randomly. It didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
anything that she was doing.
Well, we can, if you want to move on to another item.
Let's give it just a minute, see if we can get it to. And see if it's not you, because it keeps like clicking out like that, so I think there might be something with it.
Yeah.
Because I have it as the two HDMI ones as the source, so we had that one, and then this one, and neither one of the HDMIs. Okay, try it from here, try unplugging it, plug it back in. Let's give it just a second, because this is the screen we want. Your computer's not clicking.
That's me right there laughing.
You was doing so well.
Right? You were on a roll.
I'll send you the links to the websites.
Yeah.
And then, okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I would love that. Thank
I
you
just
so
wanted
much.
to show you, because there's like, at the top of the magnet page, you click the language button, it has every language in it.
Yes,
Yes.
and I pointed that out to Jesse. That's what I loved about Magna,
Yeah,
is that
Yeah.
it was so functional,
right.
in my opinion.
Yeah, that's gonna confuse, right? You have a lot of languages here.
Yeah, we're very a diversity.
Thank you, Mary Dean.
Okay, you're
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions on the website and text MyGov? I know they're kind of integrated as one, but they are two separate platforms.
I'm good.
Okay,
You did amazing.
thank you. All right, Chad?
And Leah and whoever else is.
I'm thinking,
Resolution?
my apologies. Yes.
I don't recall.
All right. Mayor and members of the council, Kingsley, and I am the grant coordinator for the Great Salt Lake Municipal Service District. I'm also up here with Chad, one of our engineers. I'm here to request your support for a resolution related to the pedestrian bridge in 5400 South area. Bringing something up.
So what
Space.
So what I'm actually gonna put up there, so the council can read it while you guys are talking, is the resolution that Chad
Okay,
did,
perfect.
that Nathan reviewed so that they can see it. So continue, I'm just gonna.
She's going to pull up the resolution now, but this resolution will help us to continue exploring options to improve safety and access for people who use that area at 5400 South. At this time, federal funding opportunities have recently opened through the Congressional Community Project Funding process. Resolution, we will have opportunities to secure funding that could significantly reduce local costs. Approval of this resolution does not finalize any designs or commit the council to construction. It simply shows support for moving into the next stage of this evaluation and seeking available funding. And here's our resolution.
Just up there, just so you guys can read it. So if you do decide you want to give this project your council seal of approval, this would be the resolution that we need, that you guys would be approving.
Okay.
Did you send this out? Because I haven't seen this.
We didn't because we were waiting for legal to look at it. I didn't want to send it out until we knew for sure it was okay. So, because we had to check the wording and everything. So Nathan's looked at it, it's good. That's why we're putting it up there so you guys can see.
And we apologize for that. It is the congressional community funding opened up pretty swiftly and is closing pretty swiftly. So there was time considerations to get this on your guys' agenda before the deadline passed.
Can you send me a copy of that at least, Diane, please?
Consensual council, yeah.
And I wasn't able to get to it because last week was legislative session and we were coming down the wire until midnight.
And I get that. I understand that. I haven't seen it. I'd like to have a copy of it too.
Of course.
So,
But I think what you're saying is you can read it now and and let us know if you want us to make any changes. I would take a minute or two to read what's on the screen and let us know if you've got any objections.
Yeah, I've been reading some of this. Thank you very much. This was on Facebook. This was a concern, and I mentioned doing this. So this is right up our alley. Since it's up high and level with the railroad tracks, you would think that there would be enough clearance underneath the road, and we wouldn't have to do any expensive, wonky stuff that we have
So this is this
down the road at a crosswalk over there on 5600 West, I guess. Anyway.
And just to help, the resolution is essentially just kind of a letter of support. It's really just a way of you guys saying that you support the city going.
Okay. And this is the 5400 South and Northwest, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's where the
Okay,
railroad
like
tracks are.
essentially.
I know this is something that's been discussed in the past and we had a hard time.
Tell me more.
Here, I'll pass that down.
I know when they tore down the pedestrian bridge there on 62 and Banger a few years ago, Mayor Bush had required that bridge to be stockpiled at UDOT with Kearns' name on it. So it's something I'd like to maybe check into, see if we still have access. I mean, because the bridge is already made. Well, I mean, the
Yeah.
pedestrian part of it, we just got to put it up in the air. You know, it would save a lot of cost for the city.
If it's long enough.
That one was like all the way over Banger.
I see what you're
It might
saying.
be too long, maybe.
Oh, it might be, yeah.
If it is, maybe we just cut it in half. I don't care. Save the city some money, that's all.
Yeah,
I'm-
that would, yeah.
And if I'm reading this correctly, this is east to west. Is there any discussion going north to south and hybriding that bridge?
I heard that suggestion. Dan Torres mentioned that you had some interest in that. And I think we're open to looking at different designs. Right now, it's purely in the seeking this opportunity for funding stage and letting you guys have the opportunity to voice your commitment with us moving forward with finding resolutions. So possibly that directionality or the other one, or a mix of both if it's possible.
Because what I see, and obviously this is probably why it's coming up, is students or anybody in the public are crossing. It doesn't matter if you put a fence up, they're gonna cross. They're using the bridge, the
Yeah, they're
railroad to
using the
cross.
railroad to
So
cross.
in my personal preference is just to embrace that and have them do that safely. So I'm actually excited for this, so.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah, if we can get the kids to stop walking on the railroad tracks to get to school or from school home, that's ideal. Yeah.
Is there anything else from the council? Are we okay to go forward with this?
I am.
And this is just for the grant, right? Is that what I understood?
Yeah, this resolution is a commitment to keep proceeding. And then if we would be using it, the application closes at the end of this week.
Oh my God.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that's
opened
quick.
very quickly and is closing extremely quickly.
Understood.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll make a motion that we approve the potential action regarding resolution R 2026-09.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'll send you all a copy of it right now.
I'm so glad legislative season is over. I kind of did, but it was a lot.
All right, council member Crystal.
I just need a backup for.
I heard.
So,
I'd
I
love to.
wanted to make sure we did this properly.
Yeah.
So that's what this discussion is about. I wanted to appoint Lindsay as my alternate for the UFA board.
So moved. Oh, no, wait, we need to say the resolution number, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resolution 2026-10. Need a second? Second. Do we need a second?
There you
We
go.
got a
We got a
second.
second.
I was like, can I
All in
second
favor?
myself?
Aye.
Thank you, Lindsay.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Crystal.
Not specifically for you.
Okay.
That's specifically for UFA, yes, not UFSA.
Oh, drum roll, please.
Okay, our next discussion is potential actions regarding the community council. I know we've kind of gotten a direction from the community council prior to this. Do any of you want to speak prior? Community or city council, did any of you want to speak on this before making a motion?
I was on, hold on, let me bring up the email so I know what I'm looking at.
Nathan, do you want to just help maybe assist this?
So I think for the record, the discussion we had last time is the various options that we have. And so we've had several changes in state law that the city hasn't really been following and hasn't been requiring the community council to follow. And so the proposals on the table were for the community council to stay independent or to become a committee. So at the mayor's direction, I reached out to the Seth Ovison, who's over local governments with the state auditor's office, and I asked him just to summarize to me what the requirements would be for the community council to stay independent. And there would be a reporting requirement to the state auditor's office each year that the community council would need to make, that the Kearns council would have to require them to make. We need an agreement. There's been several best management practices that both the legislative auditor the legislature's auditor has come out with, and then several other documents that Seth sent, I think also the community council that I wasn't aware of. So there's just quite a bit that's changed in terms of paperwork to do. And so the mayor communicated those requirements to the community council and basically said, what do you want to do? And my understanding is the community council said, hey, we would like to become a committee of the city. And so what that would mean, if that understanding is correct, I think anybody can correct me if I'm mistaken on that point, is when I do the code amendment to Title II, we already have a section on the community council. We could just convert that into a city committee, because if it's a city committee, we'll still have to comply with the Open and Public Meetings Act most likely, but we won't have to do all the financial reporting in a separate agreement. That'll be covered in-house under the services the MSD already provides, so that ideally should be a lot cheaper and easier, and it would protect them as volunteers of the city more clearly. And then it would enable me to have an attorney-client communication with them the same way I do with the Planning Commission. So if you guys have sensitive attorney-client things we want to do, say for instance, acquiring a piece of property, I would be able to have that discussion more easily with them. Is that understanding correct? I don't want to speak on behalf of anybody.
And I know this has been a process, so I really, if you guys have any other questions or want to speak on behalf before we move forward, I'll just ask one more time.
My questions would come after.
Okay.
So what I would recommend is, if the decision is to bring them in, is we can put together, probably Lisa with my office, who's got a little bit more experience with these types of committees, because she had a bunch when she was on the North Salt Lake City Council, is we could put together some draft code change language, and we could run it by the community council now to make sure it works for them. Because my understanding is the idea is we would basically bring them in-house, but we want to retain their institutional knowledge and their experience and their familiarity with the community. And one of the things we have to keep in mind is, what's the name of it? I think we could call them the community council, and just make sure that it's a city committee rather than a separate entity.
Any other questions?
Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah.
So we seem to, looks like we're all on the same page so far. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what do we do next?
So if you want, I can propose a motion for you.
Okay.
So the motion would be to, based on the discussion with the community council, to prepare the necessary changes to the Kearns Municipal Code to bring the community council in-house as an official City of Kearns committee and to work with the community council and the city council in doing so.
I'll second that.
Actually, we need it so moved.
Yeah.
So moved. Did I, yeah?
So,
I think you have a motion by Crystal. And who did the second?
That was
Patrick.
Patrick.
So now you need a vote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Now, I noticed on the next item is a budget. And so we're in a little bit of flux because the budget appropriation at this point would go to a city committee, which we haven't yet created. If we were to give it to the community council as is right now, we don't have an agreement. So my suggestion is, if you're okay with the budget request, you could approve that preliminarily as a committee budget, subject to the committee being officially created. And then I'm trying to think of how, because I don't want to hold the community council up, because you guys are already getting started on some things. But
we've got to decide on certain events that are going to happen in the summer, but we need to know now.
yeah, so my thought is that we don't necessarily, Mayor, you and I kind of had a discussion on this, is we keep the money in-house at Kearns, but we kind of begin working with them to start making some of these purchases on behalf of the city. I think that might be a little tricky in the meantime, but I think you could probably direct the MSD financial staff to work with them, and then you as the city's procurement agent to make some of these. In the meantime, while we get the committee set up, does that make sense?
I say that. I'm good with that.
I don't want to do that long term. I'm hoping in April when you meet,
Yeah,
or sooner but in the meantime, if they need to make procurements, because I assume we're going to appoint most, if not all, of the same people, right? Then I think what they would do is they would go say, hey, we've negotiated this, or we'll get the city involved and this is what we need. And then the city could start getting some of that moving. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. I am so excited to start this new chapter with you guys. Thank you.
We are too. But when it comes right down to it, we're all working for the same thing, and that's what people do. And that's how we look at it. So let's team up, let's get moving, and we're ready.
Let's do it.
Thank you guys so much. Community council, you've done a lot for the community. And you're right, we're all working for the same goal. And we want like Kearns. And so I want to look at this as a new way forward. I want to look at this as starting fresh and for us to just move forward and not look in the rearview mirror anymore. Would be my suggestion and request. So thank you.
Thank you. One question.
Okay.
When you're spending the money in the in-house, how soon can that start?
Did you hear that, Nathan?
Yeah, so I think we have to, right now, the problem is if we execute a contract with the community council, it's only going to be in effect for 1 month, because hopefully next month they'll be coming in-house. So what I'm suggesting is you guys could approve the budget as they've presented it, if you're okay with it, but approve it as a Kearns committee to be created. And then in the meantime, before the committee is created, Kearns will make those procurements on behalf of this to be created committee, so that it's coming under the city's procurement policy.
I see.
Does that make sense? And so what they would do is they would basically, what are some of the purchases you need to make most immediately?
Well, we've got everything just kind of sitting, but what we have to do is start purchasing items for all the summer events coming up. Be it swag, be it materials, resource materials for public, things like that.
So what I would suggest is in this interim period between now and next month, give that list of items to the mayor, who's the city's procurement agent, and then he can work with you to begin acquiring those through the city's procurement process. So the city will just write the checks directly to those, and then when you're the committee, then the budget will be for the committee to act, and we can come up with a process by which you would go and do that independently.
And then a question, you keep saying when the committee's created, were already created. Are you planning on expanding that?
No.
I know that.
In a sense, since we're bringing you on with the city, it's in a sense recreating it, but with it as the community council. Does that make sense a little bit? It can't just solely move over. It kind of has to be, I don't know. how to
So the community council is a separate legal entity at this point in time, and it could continue to be a separate legal entity, and you guys could do your own thing. But in terms of the event planning and where the city's going to put its money, it's going to take you guys, designate you as this new committee, and then you will be an official City of Kearns committee, and then the appropriation will go to that committee, not the community council. If you want the community council to do other things with other funding that you acquire, you could still keep it as a separate legal entity. We can't tell you to dissolve it. But in terms of making this appropriation, what the council is saying is we're going to create a new committee with the same people, effectively with the same mission to do the event planning, and then we're going to appropriate that money to this new committee. So for instance, in Mill Creek, and the mayor's had more discussions with them on that. He's done a lot of homework on this. They made kind of a similar decision. Their community councils, I think, have been converted to what's called a recognized community organization, and they no longer do the event planning. They do they just do kind of community outreach, and they're independent. They apply for grants along with anyone else, and Mill Creek brought the planning in-house. I think the difference here is we're using the same people, where I think Mill Creek went out and got separate professional people to do the event planning. So what we're trying to do is keep your institutional knowledge, but you'll be in a committee. If you want the community council to exist as a separate legal entity, you control that. It just won't get the money. Yeah.
That was very confusing, so thank you for adding that.
Yeah, but the appropriation will be going to you as a committee to do the event planning. The city won't be making any further appropriations to the community council. And that may be something to keep in mind with the name, because if you're going to stay a community council as a separate legal entity, I don't know if we want to use that name as the committee, because that would be confusing. We could just call it the Kearns Event Committee or something like that. But we can work with you on the terminology.
One other question. So we have 3 of these seats right now. My concern is, are we going to become this committee, and then the city council's going to say, okay, you stay, you're going, and you're going. When we maybe put other people on, or others that are already on there.
So that is one difference with the committee, because it's a city committee that the council will be the one making the appointments. And this is the council's call. But my understanding of what you want to do is keep the same people you have now. If there is a vacancy, we'll have to have a process for that. But ultimately, city committees are appointed and managed by the council. But Mayor, my understanding talking with you is you guys are very concerned about keeping the people that are doing it now, because they're doing a good job.
That's the intentions, is to keep you guys on. So, but you do raise a good point. Could we appoint others? We could, but that's not in the intentions. So.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Mill Creek, I've talked to Salt Lake City. They've had similar situations when it comes to attention and how to go about this with dealing with the, on a state level and checking off all those boxes. And it still puts Kearns in a unique situation with Salt Lake City and Mill Creek. Mill Creek kind of followed with Salt Lake City, but then adapted differently. They've created their own events department and set up a foundation that helps advocate and outreach for the community. Salt Lake City, so does Mill Creek. Mill Creek has multiple community councils. Salt Lake City has ×4 community councils. And their decision, going forward, their community councils kind of had to change their purpose or focus as they did stay independent. And so even though at one time, at least with Mill Creek, they were a part of the events planning, they kind of segregated out and became more focused on outreach in their neighborhoods. And that's what Salt Lake City does as well. Sometimes they will, under a grant, small, like $3,000, $4,000 to put on little events. But the difference is they're multiple. And here in Kearns, we just have one community council that has those different community councils as regions. So the situation is still different, but I think this is probably the best way to future-proof it forward, and then we can work together. And so I hope you guys feel comfortable with that. I know now we're raising some questions. You guys have any other questions about it?
I have a question. So we presented the budget to you guys, and that covers everything, all the line items that are included in the event and everything, right? So do you want us to further break down, like our next event that's coming up, the closest event, here's the breakdown of what we need there? Or will this budget that we've already presented to you guys, will that suffice?
This is broken down by.
Because it does, yeah, it does provide, like, you know what I mean? Like all our events are different. We have food, or take for instance, the event that we had here, hometown night. We had food, we had, you know, farm animals, we had all sorts of different organizations. So if you want us to present our next event, the closest event, a breakdown of that again, does that make sense?
Can I make a suggestion? So what they had presented was a budget request for a nonprofit entity that's receiving money from you. I understand the need to get forward, so my recommendation would be to approve that budget now, and then use that at the city level, work with them, have them come and tell you, hey, this is what we need to get now, and then Mayor, you can work with the MSD staff to get that under contract on behalf of the city. And then when we get the committee created, we can work with Daniel Hoffman to make sure that that budget works for a city budget. And then we can make an amendment at that point in time as part of the city's budgeting process. We're entering into the budget cycle anyway, because we're gonna have to come up with the city's tentative budget in April or May, and then we'll have to have the final budget in June. So my thought is what they've given you is enough to get started on, and then we can revise it as part of the city's budget process once they're a committee, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep, makes total sense.
That way we're not holding anything up. We can get started now with you guys working off of that. Let's just call it a preliminary budget. And then, because what I don't know is I'm not a finance guy. I don't know what the finance people are gonna wanna see in it, because what they presented technically is different, but I don't think it's that different from what you'd want out of a committee. Because the way that I see this working is in the future, as when they're a committee, when you guys do your budget, we'll just instruct the MSD staff. We can have a process where the committee makes a recommendation as part of the budget process, and then we just have a line item for community council, or if they want to keep that name and we want to have another committee, event committee, and then that's just included in the city's budget when you guys do the tentative budget and final budget approval process. It would just be like say for instance, the events department in Mill Creek, I imagine they have someone who's over that. The department head would make a budget request to the city administrator that gets approved in the city's budget. And then once approved, that department head, and I'm the chair of this event committee, would then be able to work directly with the MSD staff on your behalf to write the checks and procure stuff without having to bring it back to the council once the budget's approved.
Do you want me to break down?
Yeah.
Would it make, so you're saying it makes sense to approve the entire budget, or
Well, the problem is they need to get moving now.
Right.
And if we wait a month, correct me if I'm wrong, that's going to put you behind. It's going to put the city behind on the events that are coming. Yeah. So what I'm saying is they presented a budget. You could approve that now for the next month. And that way we could talk, we could use that, the city could use that to go out and buy stuff in coordination with them while we set up the committee. Once the committee's selected, what we can do is work in the meantime with the MSD staff, see if that budget's sufficient. And then if it's not, when we create them as a committee, we come up with a tweaked budget.
So what you're saying is, once the committee comes in, we could change it if we need to.
Yeah, just like you guys amend your budget every single year.
Good. I'm good with that.
Because what's your basically, what I would suggest the motion, I would propose a motion like this, that you adopt the budget that the community to be used by the city, community council members, while we set up an official events committee. Provided that once the official events committee is created, we will then look at what sort of amendments we need to make to the city budget for the current fiscal year.
So moved.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Nathan.
I was trying to write it down as he was saying it, and I was like,
So
oh no.
moved works great.
So moved.
All right. Other business with Clayton Pierce, legal counsel.
I'll try not to jinx this. No, I'm gonna try not to jinx it, so we'll run off
Really
this.
fast. I just want to make a pause. Community council, can you come up really fast? No, just really fast. I just want to. Or I can come to you. I just wanted I wanted this to go forward as moving forward. You know, I just really want to work with you guys. So.
Thank you. You're in trouble, sorry.
Okay.
All right, so my name's Clayton Priest. I'm one of the attorneys at Smith Harbison. I work with Nathan. I am the bad cop to Nathan's good cop. So,
I remember you.
yes. So the less you see of me, the better. But because there's situations that come up frequently with cities, and there are certain legal defenses we can assert if we provide you with certain trainings. So this is the legal training that the city's giving on discrimination and sexual harassment, so that if something happens, we can throw you under the bus. I will try to keep this as entertaining as possible. This is not an entertaining subject per se. Sexual harassment is very serious, and so is discrimination. We want to prevent that as a city, one, because it's just wrong, but also because it undermines the community's faith in government when we have issues of sexual harassment and discrimination, but it also can be very costly to the city if there's a claim against the city. So go to the next slide. Oh, yep, go ahead. Oh, sorry, go back. There we go.
You want to scoot this thing back a little bit this way, just so you're not
There we go.
blinded by the.
Okay, yeah, so go ahead. So you may have heard attorneys love disclaimers. So this is a disclaimer that we're going to start with. This training, it addresses some content that might be difficult to some individuals. For the city council members, if any of you, with mayor, if any of you are uncomfortable going forward with this training, you can just leave it like that. That's fine too. Oh. But if this is a training that is uncomfortable for you, you're free to step out and we can find an alternate way to complete this. Based on life circumstances, sometimes talking about sexual harassment can be a difficult thing. We're going to talk about some specific scenarios and examples. None of these come from actual events at the city. This comes from case law across the country. This comes from other cities that we've represented. So just because you see something in here doesn't mean it is you, but note that it could be you. And that's why we're doing the training, so it's not you. So all sexual harassment and discrimination really have their tie back to the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Utah has also adopted the Utah Anti-Discrimination Act. These prohibit discrimination in employment, public accommodations, or other programs based on protected classes. And this includes a number of things, including race, sex, religion, national origin. Taking any discriminatory action against a protected class is unlawful. So what is discrimination? It's just unequal treatment based on a protected class. And that includes any decisions in hiring, promotion, discipline, pay, or training. But as a city council, it also can involve your interactions with members of the public. That could be approving or denying applications based on any kind of protected class. So anytime you're treating someone differently because of protected class, that's discrimination. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So there are a number of protected classes. We're not going to talk about discrimination with regards to all of these classes. We're going to just focus specifically on sexual harassment. But note that what we're talking about in terms of disparate treatment, disparate impact, all of those things apply to all of the protected classes, not just sex, but sexual harassment falls under the protected class of sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. So what is sexual harassment? It may include a range of subtle and not subtle behaviors, and that can involve individuals of the same or different gender or gender identities. Sexual harassment can be physical, or psychological in nature, and it can be an aggregation of a series of incidents, or it can be one incident depending on the nature and severity of that incident. So the legal definition, and this comes from a number of cases applying the Civil Rights Act, but harassment is defined as unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature when submission to such conduct is made either explicitly or implicitly as a term or condition of an individual's employment or some kind of approval or action. Submission or rejection of the conduct by an individual is used as the basis for employment decisions, and that conduct has the purpose or effect of unreasonably interfering with an individual's working performance, creating intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. So what does this mean in plain English? Making any kind of sexual advance, asking for sexual favors, that's the quid pro quo, do this for me, I'll do that for you. Making sexually suggestive comments, and this is one where typically people find themselves getting in more trouble than some of the others. It's obvious quid pro quo is sexual harassment, but even making sexually suggestive comments, using foul or obscene gestures, and then unwanted physical contact. This is hopefully pretty obvious, but patting, rubbing, brushing, pinching, grabbing, all of those things, that's sexual harassment. And that's not an aggregation of those. Anytime it's physical, that's an immediate sexual harassment, even if it happens once. And finally, physical assaults of a sexual nature. So rape, sexual battery, molestation, or attempts to commit these crimes. In addition to being criminal, they're also sexual harassment. Some more examples. So preferential treatment, promises to give preferential treatment for committing some type of sexual act or conduct, compensation or reward, subjecting or threats or subjecting an employee to unwelcome sexual attention or conduct, using derogatory slang names to refer to different sexes, teasing, joking, or making derogatory remarks about the different sexes, and descriptions or stories that include sexual content or which are sexual in nature. So all of those things can be sexual harassment. It also includes displaying or transmitting pictures or objects that are sexually suggestive or demeaning or pornographic. And in looking at this, courts have said a picture is presumed. And a presumption means basically we're assuming that something is pornographic if it, or is sexually suggestive if it depicts a person of either sex who's not fully clothed or in clothes that are not suited to or ordinarily accepted for the accomplishment of routine work in and around the workplace, and or who is posed for the obvious purpose of displaying or drawing attention to private portions of his or her body. So if the picture includes any of that, it's presumed that it's sexually suggestive. So we're going to talk about some specific categories of discrimination. So there's disparate treatment. Disparate treatment occurs when someone's treated differently because of a protected characteristic. The focus of the court on disparate treatment cases, it involves intentional unequal treatment. So what are some examples of this? Unequal treatment based on sex. So if we're reprimanding a female employee for minor workplace violations while overlooking the same conduct made by a male employee, or creating a work environment where women are treated more harshly because of their sex, that's all disparate treatment. We're treating one person differently. Preferential treatment, giving preferred assignments, promotions, or raises, or favorable schedules to employees based on sex. This is this is women's work, this is men's work. Finally, unequal treatment in meetings. So if a council is limiting comments from a female member of the public during the public comment to a set time limit, but allowing male speakers to speak beyond the established time limit, that can be sexual harassment. The next category we're going to talk about is disparate impact. And this is a little bit trickier because what courts are looking at here are we have a neutral conduct, but it has a disproportionate impact. And so disparate impact cases came out of the civil rights era. They were originally designed to prevent voting tests that were being applied. So you have to read in order to be able to vote. Well, that had a disparate, facially that's neutral. Everyone has to read in order to vote. We're not singling out a specific gender or a specific race. But what they looked at statistically was it had a disparate impact on African American communities. And those individuals who had less opportunities for education were not able to pass those tests, and so they weren't able to vote. And so the entire body of case law came up around disparate impact. And that same discriminatory disparate impact can apply in the workplace as well. So if there are policies that are adopted that are broad and neutral on their face, but it singles out or targets one gender or gender identity, then those policies can be harassing in nature. And the key is you can do so without having an intent to discriminate. So some examples of disparate impact. So a department that allows sexually explicit jokes or slangs or images to be shared in a work area that's dominated by male employees. So this behavior is not necessarily directed at a specific individual. These are just on display everywhere, but it's going to create a disproportionate impact on female employees in the workplace. Or the city requires as a policy, the city says, hey, our front desk person, the receptionist, when people come in, we don't care if they are sexually harassing you or making sexually suggestive comments, you have to just keep working with them and dealing with them because they're a member of the public. Well, on the face, that's neutral. Anybody who's the receptionist has to do that. But because female employees statistically receive the majority of these kind of harassing comments, that would be disparate impact. The final thing we'll talk about as far as a category is discriminatory harassment. And largely this comes in the form of a hostile work environment. And it's when there's actions that are, and they're typically repeated, but it's offensive comment that's directed at an individual because their relationship in a protected class, and it's so pervasive that it creates a hostile environment. So some examples of this discriminatory harassment can be the quid pro quo we talked about, repetition of unwelcome comments, unwelcome sexual advances, sharing images that are sexually suggestive, sharing stories that are sexually suggestive, and then also demeaning or belittling comments that are made based on an individual's sex. So a quick example, not Kearns, but another city that I know of, they had a limited budget and they were trying to decide what do we do for a raise? And one of the council members said, well, I think that these employees should get the raise because they're the breadwinners. Those breadwinners were all males. And so that is sexual harassment.
Really? Wow.
Conduct can become harassment when it's unwelcome. So, and we'll get into this a little bit later, sometimes comments are innocent, right? You're wearing a nice blouse today. That's an innocent comment. If the person says, hey, when you say that, that really makes me feel uncomfortable. Once you repeat that, now we're in the grounds of sexual harassment. So that's the unwelcome component. It can also be if it's tied to some sort of promotional discipline, quid pro quo, if it's tied to a threat of behavior or a promotion or discipline, so it's the threat of it. If it's so offensive and objectionable that it makes a reasonable person uncomfortable, that on its face can be harassment. And then if it interferes with a reasonable person's job performance, that's the kind of hostile work environment that we were talking about. Potential perpetrators. So elected officials, employees, citizens can also perpetrate sexual harassment on council members. Goes both ways. Vendors, other agencies, any combination of these groups can be either perpetrators or victims depending on the interactions that are going on. It can also occur in many places. So at city venues, outside the normal workplace, on trips or conferences, at social events that the cities may hold, in text messages and through social media. This graphic depicts, so you've got innocent behavior that can, and within that then there's also inappropriate behavior, sort of a diagram, and then there's harassment. And harassment is a subset of this sort of innocent and inappropriate behavior. And it's a combination based on the factors that we've looked at. I want to make a special comment about slang and jokes. This is an area where people can often get into trouble. And Slang can be harassment. Using terms that are sexually suggestive or have sexually suggestive connotations can create a hostile work environment. I was fortunate enough to get my son became a teenager last year, and my oldest, and now I've been educated on all sorts of different types of slang that are going on, and I have been repeatedly reminded I am not to use any of those phrases because I don't know what they mean, and I just use them out of context. And at first they thought it was funny, and now they think it's obnoxious. So slang is that way. Be very, very careful with slang. Just because you think a slang term means one thing, if someone else thinks it means something else or it means something different to them, that can elevate to the level of sexual harassment. Joking, saying that I was just joking, or hey, that's just common slang. That's what all the cool kids are saying. That's not a defense to sexual harassment. And the impact matters much more than the intent. So the impact, and it's the impact on the victim, is going to matter more than the intent when we're trying to defend you in court. Emojis.
What?
Emojis are problematic. I detest emojis for many reasons. But in 2019, Facebook and Instagram had to update their policies to restrict sexually contextual specific emojis. There are many emojis that have gained inappropriate connotations. And so these can result in including requests for sexual favors or unwelcome sexual advances. So what is in a winky face? The dictionary, they now define emojis. So a winky face emoji in the dictionary, dictionary.com, used to define a flirtatious statement, can used to indicate a joke or inside humor, indicates a preceding statement is a secret, hints at a desirable outcome, or prods someone to take a particular action. So you can see, I think, in the context, if you're sending a communication to someone and you say, come by tonight, I'll talk to you about how to get that approved, winky face, that could be sexual harassment, right? So be careful with emojis. Again, I will single myself out. I try not to use them because I probably won't use them in context. I didn't grow up with them. And so the best thing is just stay away from it. So how do courts identify behavior that's unlawful harassment, discrimination, or retaliation? We'll talk about retaliation in a moment. It's based on context. It's based on repetition. If it persisted after the individual was informed to stop, or if it was just severely objectionable conduct. Objectionable conduct is per se unwelcome. It's what a reasonable person would be offended by. And the EEOC is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. They're the federal body that reviews allegations of sexual harassment in the workplace. Their rule and guidance that they've given is if it's a reasonable person in the victim's circumstance. So as attorneys, we're often asked, who is this mythical reasonable person? Because it comes up all over in the law. It's what the jury of 6 to 12 jurors, that's the reasonable person that's going to judge you. So if you think about Salt Lake County, if we were sued for sexual harassment, it's going to be in Salt Lake County, most likely. 6 to 12 people in Salt Lake County, if they think that it is sexual harassment, that's who the reasonable person is. So reporting, Kearns has adopted a personnel policy, and that personnel policy has a lot of detailed information about reporting, and this comes from that policy. It's something that can be adopted and updated over time, but the policy of Kearns is that sexual harassment, no matter the degree of severity, needs to be reported. As far as the practical matter, how it's reported, until there's a city administrator, a city manager type person, typically it's most appropriate that that's reported to the mayor or another council member or the city attorney if the person doesn't feel comfortable reporting it to the mayor. In other words, if the mayor is somehow involved, report it to somebody else. So there's always multiple people that sexual harassment can be reported to, but as the mayor is the head of the city, it's natural that gets reported there first until some other official or appointed position is created and you want it to run through that individual. So first step is to address the harassment with the individual. And if you're able to say, it makes you feel uncomfortable when you do that, then hopefully that ends it. If it doesn't end there or you're not comfortable, then it's reporting it to the mayor. And as a note, it's helpful to make a written record of any date or time when these incidents occurred, any witnesses that are around, so that when there's an investigation, we can follow up on that. Harassment can be reported in person, letter, email, any other method of communication. And anyone that receives a report of sexual harassment needs to either report it to the mayor, if it doesn't involve the mayor, and report it to legal counsel so we can start the process of reviewing it. Again, as I've noted, the city takes all allegations or reports of sexual harassment seriously. And the reason that it's so important that we do that is the city can't do anything to stop it unless it's been reported. And it can be sometimes really difficult when we receive a complaint. And so when you get a complaint, it may be subtle, it might be unclear, it may be different than what we've sort of talked about in this training. A lot of times it's because the individual that's reporting the harassment, it's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable situation that they're in. They may be embarrassed to report this, but in order to encourage them to do it, we try to give multiple people, multiple avenues to report it so that we can help prevent that. The next thing that I always raise is, so if someone's talking to you about what you think might be sexual harassment or something you're uncomfortable with, what do you do if you don't know what to do? And the first step is make sure that safety is just the top priority. So ensure that individual, whoever's involved with that, is in a safe location. The sole reason that this slide is being presented to you comes out of a case where there was a young lifeguard who was on duty. There was a man in the pool that was following her around, making her uncomfortable. She reported that to her supervisor, another 18-year-old kid. Didn't know what to do. So he just, well, go to this area of the pool. So they moved her to a different spot. The gentleman followed her there. Didn't know, she reported it again. He didn't know what to do. Moved her to another spot, followed her there. Unfortunately, after her shift, he waited for her in the parking lot and sexually assaulted her. So if you don't know what to do, something is recurring, make sure they're in a safe spot, get our great law enforcement involved, make sure they're safe, call the mayor, call the city attorney, call a council member so that we can help address what the concerns are. But again, first and foremost, make sure physically they're in a safe location. Investigations. So the city investigates all allegations of sexual harassment, and that investigation can take several forms. It can be just an in-house investigation that I or Nathan or another member of our firm would conduct to review and talk to witnesses, depending on the level or the number of individuals involved. And it's part of the policy that was adopted by Kearns is that an outside expert can be retained to conduct the investigation. And there are companies and lawyers and HR professionals who specialize in doing outside investigations. And when witnesses may be interviewed, witnesses will definitely be interviewed. As a policy, all the council members, employees of Kearns have a duty to cooperate in those investigations, and then there can be disciplinary action for refusing to participate in an investigation. As part of an investigation, the city and the investigators try to keep the information confidential to the extent possible, but because we're interviewing witnesses and individuals, that's not always possible. And so, or we might have to bring in like IT services, for example, pull text messages and see what's going on. So, and then finally, based on the allegation, the investigation, we may or may not inform the complainant of what happened or the investigation occurred at all, depending on the level of severity, but everything is looked at. Retaliation happens when someone takes adverse action because someone else is engaged in a protected activity. Reporting sexual harassment is a protected activity by state and federal law. So if someone reports harassment and then we treat them poorly, there's an adverse action taken against them, that's retaliation. It's unlawful under federal and state law. The key with retaliation is that retaliation claims are often what succeed when the original discrimination claim does not. And part of the reason for that is everyone's kind of on guard, emails, other documents are being kept and retained, and there's oftentimes a causational nexus where one thing happens and then an adverse action happens very close in proximity. So it's easy to say this caused that, as opposed to sexual harassment, which might be more spread out, more nuanced, more hidden. So someone reports harassment and then we deny their application immediately thereafter. That could be seen as retaliation. We have to defend that by saying there was a justifiable business-based reason within our discretion for making whatever that decision. Documentation does matter. Demotion, probation, transfer for public official censure. So essentially that looks like the council adopting a resolution to censure a council member because of conduct. We don't want to get there. And for employees, it can also include termination. So now we're going to talk about some more, that's a lot of what is potential harassing behavior. We're going to talk about some strategies to prevent harassment. So speaking up as soon as possible, having that direct communication, that's really the best way to help prevent discrimination and harassment. Documenting conduct, we've talked about, use the reporting channels that we've talked about, seeking help and guidance from others. If you don't know what to do because you're observing it as a bystander, or if you believe you're a victim of sexual harassment, talk to trusted individuals to get guidance and support and understand how to report that. And then for bystanders, it's really important to speak up. If you're seeing something, it's important that you say something, because oftentimes with harassment, whatever you're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. Observed conduct is often much larger. And so as a council member, you're in a position of power. And if you see a small, what you might see as a more innocent comment, it's possible that if there's a difference in that power dynamic, the individual that made that seemingly innocent comment is doing something much worse to an individual that's in a vulnerable position. So it's very important to report it, even if it seems something that's small. In all of the organizations, anytime that we've received and done an investigation of sexual harassment, almost without fail, there were other people that witnessed it that didn't report it. And there's also other people that person has been sexually harassing as well. These are very rarely isolated events. Usually it's more widespread and systematic, or it can be, and that's what we want to stop. So if you see something, say something. Occasionally we get ones that come in and we look at it and we go, that really doesn't rise to the level, we've done the investigation, but then we're aware of it and we can keep an eye on it and try to prevent that going forward. Next is to report safety concerns, particularly as you're in your facilities, if you get a city hall or in even the workspace here, if there are lights that are burned out, if there are doors or windows that aren't locking properly, there's individuals that are just paying an inordinate amount of attention to an individual. If you see something, say something so we can prevent that. And finally, I want you to think every action you do, every communication you have, every comment that you make, both public and private, all of these things are building a case, either for you or against you. And anytime we get a complaint of sexual harassment, or we have somebody, I've represented people on both sides, somebody that's come to me and said, my employer is sexually harassed against me. They come with a thick binder of every email, text message, group chat, photograph that has happened over the last 10-year period or as long as they've been employed. And so just keep that in mind. If anything that you say, write, or do is likely to be reviewed by a court. And so keep that in mind, and then hopefully we can prevent sexual harassment in Kearns. Do you have any questions? I know that was a lot of content. I've shared these slides with Diana. She can circulate those to you so you have those for reference. There's the employee policy. You have Nathan's contact. I will make sure that each of you get my business card, so you've got my contact information if you feel more comfortable reporting it to me. So unless there's any questions, hopefully that was a helpful training.
Can I just make a few comments? So Clayton and I have been working together almost 11 years now, and we have seen the gamut of this, from rape. We had one instance in which we had a female employee who got some surgical enhancements that she decided to share with her entire department, to to other things. But what I would say in our experience is the most common is particularly where you have someone who's in a position of power who just inadvertently says something of a sexual nature that someone under them finds offensive. That's, in my experience, the most common reason why I'm calling Clayton is, hey, somebody said this and this person has a problem with their department head. Now, in your instance, because you don't have any employees and everybody you work with are districts, now we'll have a city administrator, maybe an assistant who will be employees. But for right now, you guys are the people we're focusing on because you are the ones that may say something. And that could be to any of the special districts you work with, whether it's Wilford or UFA or UFSA. And you guys are at the top of the pyramid when it comes to direction. The buck stops with the council. And so everyone that you're going to interact with, you are in a position of power over them. And that's usually where this stuff comes into play. It's that somebody's boss or somebody that's above them in the hierarchy of the municipal world said something that made them uncomfortable. And so where that happens, and we hardly ever see this to be completely clear with electeds. It's usually more with like managers and that sort of thing. But it does happen on occasion with electeds. And typically the way that would work is we do an investigation, we'd sit down with that elected and we'd say, we got to censure you. And you have the opportunity to resign, so we don't have to censure you, no one hears about it. And most of them resign. We want to avoid that. And so the recommendation that I would make is don't talk about anything of a sexual nature, period, full stop, with anybody, with each other, with anybody that you work with. And I know that can be hard sometimes because everybody has an idea of what I may find offensive may not be offensive to somebody else or vice versa. So the safest course of action, the strongest recommendation I can make is when you're interacting with anybody, member of public, anyone with the special districts you work with, or anybody else in the council, if it pertains to sex, don't discuss it. Don't even mention it, even if you think it's totally innocuous.
And there are a number of cases where for example, I'll just use council members for example. You might have two council members that are discussing something of a sexual nature and they're okay with it, but it's the secretary, the assistant, the member of the public that's standing behind them that's not part of the conversation that then becomes very uncomfortable with what's being said. And so again, just because maybe you and whoever you're talking to are okay with it, there might be somebody else that gets roped in that's not. So as Nathan said, just full stop. It's best not to discuss those things at all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're very grateful for that. Do we have any other questions?
I don't see anything with UFA on here. Do we have stakeholders that we're doing next?
Do we have any stakeholders? I don't see them on the.
So I think we were anticipating a busy agenda today, and I don't think you have it on your agenda. If you wanted to reopen the public comment for the public or stakeholders to make an update, you could do that because we've gone through the agenda a little bit more quickly than we thought. But while we're talking about other agenda items, just so the staff knows, is we're going to do I'd like to have a restatement item on the agenda until we get that fully done. We'll come back with the position description for the city administrator and assistant position. We'll come back with a change to your code for this new events committee, whatever we call it, and then an appointing resolution because we'll need to appoint people to it. The other thing that I would like to do, it's not on the agenda tonight, but at the next meeting, I'd like to give a legislative update of what happened in the legislature and then some of the changes we will need to make to our land use code. We'll be getting some updates from the league and others between now and then. And so I have an idea of what I want to go over, but I think I'll be more fully prepared when I have more than a weekend to prepare because most of the big stuff passes on the last day. So those are my suggested agenda items. If you want to open it back up for public comment for stakeholders, provide an update. That's how you could do the stakeholder update because it's technically not on your agenda.
Thank you. Just so you're aware, I did because I've had a couple of them ask because we had taken it off at first, but I did tell them that they're part of when I send the email asking for agenda items, they get that email. So if they have something, I told them to let me know so that we can put them on there. For instance, Greg Anderson from the Kearns Improvement District next month said he would probably have something. Renee Plant from Whitford will let me know when she has something. So kind of because we had shifted a little bit. So that's why they're not on there automatically each month. So if they do let me know they have something, I would put them on there, but if in the future you
Well,
want me to put that, let me
We
know.
always know Chief Levi always has some.
We can open up to public comment.
And that's the
Chief?
thing, if you want, I could put UFA and UPD on there every week, so obviously they're gonna have
Yeah.
updates every month. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep it under 3 minutes. I know the rule. I saw it. So Faith will just bring you up the regular stats for your binders. So you'll have those. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to, unless you don't want us on an agenda because you have a lengthy night, I'm not offended. I'll provide these anyways to you. Let me just take a look over those, and you guys can always communicate to me with any questions that you have about it. Just a couple of highlights though from the last month. One really good one, we'll start with the good one, was we had several property thefts and crimes that went on, and he does a great job. He came to us from, I want to say Provo, right? Provo PD. And he's just been a fantastic detective. A case that he recently solved involved an individual who was committing crimes all over Kearns, stealing from all of our residents that he could. And when he was found and a warrant was served, we recovered thousands and thousands of dollars worth of people's stuff, including firearms, narcotics, and some other things that'll help us find him a new residence for a period of time. So, and then on kind of a sad note, we've had a couple of tragic accidents in the last month, which it's unusual for us to see so many so close together. These not only just affect our community, they really have an effect on our officers. They really have an effect on our firefighters and EMS personnel. And unfortunately, the one on 5600 West that left a couple of people in critical condition who are still have, what their lives will look like going forward, I don't know. Angie keeps in touch with them. Angie Oldham here to make sure the families know how the investigations are going. And then just here a few nights ago, we had someone who did not use a crosswalk. That's all I can really say about that. And ended up being struck by a vehicle and died as a result of that. And then unfortunately, in the early morning hours of last night, we had another tragic accident, and a 1-month-old was killed in that accident. And so, that has a big impact on our staff. It's very difficult for us to see people who are innocent, who are injured, especially when it comes to infants and children. So anyways, those crews are on tonight for us. And so we'll be, checking with our guys, but a lot of good things are happening. Again, take a look at your stats. And if you have any questions for me now, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
I really like that you're putting it together visually.
There's some maps in
Someone
there.
like
You
me.
can see, your areas, each of your districts, and that's all Faith. That wasn't me. I mean, I told her to do it, so I should get some credit, but Faith did it. Any other questions or comments about how good of a job I'm doing? Nothing? Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, council, thanks for giving me the time. I was going to talk about those significant incidents as well. Thanks for Levi for bringing that up. So a few things, updates on UFA. We're in the middle of our budget season as well, as Crystal knows, and pretty soon, Lindsay, thanks for being the alternate. Crystal will keep you up to date. There's a lot going on with our budget, and our division leaders have given their updates. So now it's sitting on Chief Burchett's desk, and we'll see where it goes from there. But right now it's looking pretty good. No significant fires this month, which is a good thing. Like the previous month, we had quite a few. Our Utah Task Force 1 just got back from Texas at a national training facility. I was part of that. We sent about 40 UFA personnel to it. It's a 4-day training session, and it's long days, long nights. They're bringing back a lot of knowledge, skills, and abilities back to our community since we have the heavy rescue program and the hazmat program. Station 107 and 109 each ran about 130 calls each. It was a short month, so our call volume is a little bit down. Other than that, it's been a decently quiet month. Hopefully no more accidents happen. It's been rough for our fire and EMS folks going on those. So do you guys have any questions for me?
107, do they fly a flag up there?
Do they not have one flying? Oh, I'll reach out to them.
Yeah, the last few times I've gone by there, I haven't seen a flag out.
Okay. I wonder if they've ordered one and it's gone bad or something, but I'll check.
Got a
with them.
beautiful pole.
Yeah, they do. Usually I'm on them. If it gets damaged, I usually tell them to change it. So I'll check on it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep.
No. Oh, if she's gonna send it out, I said, yeah, if she's gonna send it out.
I don't have a closed session.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well,
Just ask her when she does.
Mary.
No, it's the thing that's holding on the.
It's the litigation.
And real quick, Mary, you'll send us out those links. Oh, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was the one part of the meeting I was looking forward to. Is Mary's website.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on to the closed session for now, but thank you, Ricky.
So motion, you need to motion to move into the closed session. Yeah, so someone needs to give a motion to recess the council meeting and move into the closed session.
I'll make a motion that we recess the council meeting and move on to a closed session for.
To discuss, pending or reasonably imminent litigation.
To discuss pending or reasonably imminent
Litigation.
litigation.
Who's gonna second? Second. Okay,
All in favor?
Bye.
thank you guys. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. It's
Thank
good
you for
seeing ya.
coming.
Pleasure.